not the product they're using. So, you know, if you want to be able to cut down the cost of your product, and I'm pretty sure virtually any manufacturer or distributor will probably back this up, but scale up, buy in bulk, don't buy small sizes. It's economic. It's an economic, I don't know, not suicide, but it's freaking mess. I mean, that's where you save money. You know, buy smart. But just trying to buy a cheaper product, if that cheaper product ends up meaning that you're going to spend an extra 2 minutes or 3 minutes rebalancing or maintaining those nails, let alone lose a client, then that hasn't saved you at all. It's actually cost you a lot more. So remember, most expensive thing in the salon, the thing that costs you the most is your time. So invest in the things that save you your time, which is quality of your product.
I think if I can just add to that, a colleague and myself spoke earlier on about this whole attitude towards credit crunch. And my personal opinion is to just keep hold of our clients, basically, is to make sure we give them a little bit more for the money. You know, we don't want to lose them. We're not about to change our product. What we've done so far has been absolutely sound and secure. However, we just need to reassure these clients that they're in a good environment just by giving them that little bit more.
No, I just want to say that you get what you pay for, and it's as simple as that.
Anybody else that wants to add to that or ask a question?
Me again. Just picking up on something Denise said yesterday, because I sort of sat with you having a coffee yesterday. Consistency, changing your products all the time doesn't look good from a client's point of view. So if you've got a product and you're happy with it, cost is no reason to change. I think consistency is the most important thing, and that's what clients like to see too. Yeah. If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Okay, thank you. Now we've only got a few minutes left. We're about 45 minutes over time, but that's great because we had the time to use if we needed it. So we've got a few minutes left. I have got a few more questions on the list, but are there any questions from any of you that you'd like to ask us before we wrap up? No questions. We've covered everything you always ever wanted to know. A question, great.
I would like to bounce something to you as the panel. Primarily, a lot of you are sat there as suppliers, and perhaps back to one of the subjects we're originally discussing, which is the trade associations and that. Do you think that you guys as suppliers could drive more through the industry? Because all I've ever heard about trade associations has been on websites and magazines. And perhaps when I've spoken to suppliers, I've not had anything pushed as far as them. So maybe is this some time that you guys, pushing it back to a selection of you there, could put something together to really try and drive this through the industry with us?
Do you guys mind if I answer that first? Because I'm not a supplier. I'm surrounded by suppliers. I'm not a supplier, but have been involved in trade associations very heavily in the past. And what I think the situation with trade associations should be in this country is that suppliers should be there to support it. And unfortunately, what has happened year after year after year, as long as I can remember, unfortunately that never really happens. I don't think it should be for suppliers to actually start it. I think it should be for independent people. Now, independent within a supplier, but nevertheless, because I don't think trade associations should have any real connection with brands, because that's where it all seems to go wrong and people don't like it. The technicians don't like it. So I think it should be for a group of independent people to come together to start a trade association and then persuade suppliers to support it, and maybe just support it by exactly what you're saying, telling their customers about it, because sometimes that's all it needs. So that's my 2 pence in that, and now I'll leave it to the supplier.
I'm not a supplier, but I obviously represent our company, but I am an independent, and I do feel that yes, it comes from the individuals, and it's very hard for us to persuade the nail companies. I think they're sometimes a bit small-minded to look at the benefits that they would get by both us independents and suppliers working together to add that knowledge and support from the nail technicians they're selling. And I do think it is a wake-up call, and in these times of the credit crunch and everything else, we need to all pull together to push this industry forward, because is a very big industry, and it is still a growth industry. And everybody is doing too much of this, protecting their own little world. We need to really all pull together as a team, and that is at technicians to suppliers and down to people in education as well.
I think that suppliers getting on board can definitely help drive people into a trade association. But I think that the real challenge is that it's only temporary. If a trade association cannot support itself, cannot entice the members of the association to stay on board and provide value to begin with, then what are all of the suppliers going to do? Just, okay, let's drive people into it. They're not going to stay. You know, people need value in trade associations. Otherwise, it's like, why am I paying my dues? What do I get out of it? What's in it for me? Got to ask that question. But the associations have to be in a position to be able to have enough power to answer that as well. You know, if you get those dynamics right, then you don't have to ask the suppliers. I bet they'll all jump on board. You know, everybody would see the benefit to it as long as they can clearly demonstrate it to begin with.
Just from a supplier's kind of point of view, maybe, is that I personally think a trade association should be set up by somebody whose primary interest is that trade association. As a supplier, main business obviously is surviving as a supplier, and as much as we want to put into the industry, the reality of it probably is that we just don't have that much spare time to offer to, you know, something like this that is going to take a lot of time on any individual's part. There just aren't enough hours in the day, and I think it needs to be done by somebody who makes that their primary business concern, if you like.
Going back to the credit crunch, one thing that has dominated my thoughts this weekend is, what do the suppliers on the panel think about EMAP charging for entrance? And would they come back again next year if they charge?
I think I believe that charging the nominal fee that they have charged to come here, I think that's a benefit. You know, we, Sweet Squared, are not exhibiting at this show. However, you know, with our involvement in shows in the past, it's wall-to-wall people. You don't know who the professionals are, who the students are, who the customers are, and who's just sort of coming in off the street. It's one of the few countries that don't actually charge to get into shows. If you're a professional, put your money where your mouth is. It's £20. I think it was £20 to do it, to book early.
You could do it for two. It was 10 to start, then 20, and then on the day 40.
Then you could get it for as cheap as £10. You know, that's the cheapest element of getting here. It's the transport that probably costs more than that. So if it meant that we were able to keep out everybody from the baby show, hey, I think that's a bonus. It means that the suppliers have more time for you, the professional, or the student, or whatever. You know, and we don't, you know, Tom, Dick, and Harry buying.
I've worked at a show, not here, but at one of the others. I've worked at a show where there was a group of nuns going around. So how does that work?
It might be nail techs.
I was going to say that the suppliers and actually everybody who's exhibiting spends a lot of money at the show. You know, it costs us a lot of money to be here. So the people that do attend the show and have paid for it are serious. They want to come and get our support. They want to come and learn. And that's what we want. And when the show is free of charge, you do get people that aren't so serious, that are just here to have a look. And unfortunately, it can be a waste of time and space for us. You know, we want the serious people that we can really, really help, and that's you guys.
Okay, if there's nothing else that you've got a burning desire to share with us, then no, nothing. Then we need to wrap it up. And thank you very much, everybody, for coming to the first Big Nail Debate.
Just thank you to all of our panel for their assistance today.